Welcome back to Mac Talks Football, and it's match day 11 of the Premier League, and it is the last weekend before the international break. The stakes are going to be a lot high as compared to the other weekends. There's a big games. That Chelsea versus Arsenal game is going to be huge. Manchester City are playing against Brighton, Liverpool playing against Aston Villa. So we have got a huge big games. Wolves playing Southampton, like that. That's going to be the first game of the weekend. So a lot of big games. Last weekend was huge. Like Southampton, they finally got their first weekend. Manchester City finally lost their first game of the season. Forest climbing to Liverpool going back to at the top of the table. Arsenal losing to Newcastle. A lot of exciting things happen, and we can expect another exciting weekend ahead. So let's go ahead and start making our prediction. The first game, as I said, it's going to be Wolves versus Southampton, 20th versus 19th. It cannot be get closer than this. It is such a huge game. It's just an 11th game of the season, but the magnitude of this game is so huge. Both teams really fighting for their lives at the moment. Southampton, they finally got their first win of the season last weekend against Leicester. Wolves, they are still undefeated. They played a really good game. They made a comeback against Crystal Palace. The game ended 2-all. It was quite a good game of football. So like both teams really need to get that win. I think it will be quite a tough game, quite a exciting game of it will be quite physical, but I still think it will be quite an entertaining game of football despite being all the physicality and all that. I think we can expect goals from this game, and I just don't know why. But the way that the Wolves played last weekend against Palace, people are going to say that Southampton won the game, but Wolves, I think they played a lot better than Southampton, and they are at home, and I just feel like it is their turn to get that first win of the season, and I think they are gonna get it. They have played a lot better the last 3 or 4 weeks, even though they are not get the win, but I think they have played a lot better, and I think that is what's gonna help them this week as well. I think they are gonna win it. I think it will be very close, but I think Wolves are gonna win it, and I think we are gonna get a lot of goals. I'm going for a 3-2 win for Wolverhampton Wanderers. The next game is West Ham versus Everton. It is a 14th versus 16th. Now West Ham, they got Eric Ten Hag sacked after defeating Manchester United, and then they went back to their old ways. Like they go to Nottingham Forest and they got absolutely destroyed. A 3-0 defeat for West Ham, and that has been the problem for West Ham this season. Like they've been so inconsistent. Like they would play really good football one weekend, and the next weekend they would completely go away. And I think Lopetegui is under a lot of pressure. The amount of money spent by West Ham is quite huge, and the way that their performances are not really matching up to it. And I think I would not be surprised that if Lopetegui could get the sack quite early on in the season. My number one pick to get the sack was Steve Cooper. He still somehow managed to keep the job. Eric Ten Hag became the first guy to get the sack. So I think Lopetegui is one of those guys who is really under the radar. They are playing against an Everton side who, if I'm being very honest, are not really doing that good. I thought Dai should be the guy. I thought this season was going to be one of those seasons where they don't really have to worry about that relegation battle, but they are still reeling in that area, right in the bottom half. They get a couple of good results, and then they go ahead and they play like they did against Southampton, and they lose the game, and they end up being right back at it. I think it will be a very close game. I think it will be a tough game, but it is the type of game that West Ham have to win if they have any hope of trying to get back into those European places. I don't think that is gonna happen, but if they really want to get away from that relegation mess and try to finish in the top 10, they have to win this game. There is no other questions about it, and I just don't know why, because maybe because they are at home. I just think they are gonna win it. I think it will be a very close game, but I think West Ham are gonna win it. I'm going for a 2-1 win for West Ham United. Next game is Brentford versus Bournemouth. It is a 12th versus a 10th. Now I just like Brentford, they lost their game against Fulham last weekend 2-1, and how they lost, nobody really has an idea. Like they conceded their first goal in the 92nd minute, and then 97th minute as well. Like they were winning the game. It was there for them. The 3 points were right there for the taking, and they just let it go away. And note that all the 3 points, like they couldn't even hold on for a draw. They let go of that game, and in the end, I really don't know what Thomas Frank and his team were doing at the end. It was a really good performance. It was going really good, and they somehow threw it all away. They are playing against Brentford Brentford side who, sorry, a Bournemouth side who like made basically like a first time they defeated Manchester City when they made sure that it is not an invincible season. The first defeat of Manchester City this season. It was a huge win for Bournemouth. In the last 3 weeks, they have defeated Arsenal and then they have defeated Manchester City. So they are in a really good form. The 3 wins in the last 5 games. So they are in a, in a very good place at the moment. The confidence is really high, and they are going to come to Brentford. And I think it will be a very interesting game. I like both the managers. Both of them like to play attacking football. I think it will be a very interesting game. It will be a high scoring game as well. But I just don't see a winner. I don't think Brentford are gonna lose another game, and I don't think they can afford to lose another game. If I'm being very honest with you, I think it will be a very fun game to watch. At 6 o'clock, there's not no big team is really playing, so you have a lot of these interesting games which you can watch. And I think this is going to be one of those games where which you should really watch. I think it will be a high scoring game. I'm going for a 2-all draw between Bournemouth and Brentford. The next game is Crystal Palace versus Fulham. It is a 17th versus a 9th. Now Crystal Palace they drew against Wolves last weekend. It was quite a fun game to watch. Like we had like 4 goals in just 17 minutes. It was a really good game of football. And I think Crystal Palace would be very disappointed that they took the lead twice, but they gave the lead away both the times, and they were not really able to hold on for all the 3 points. That would have really helped them to get away from the bottom 3 teams. But luck was not on their side. They are playing against a Fulham side who had luck on their side. As I said, they defeated Brentford in the last 5 minutes of the game, scoring that first goal in the 92nd minute, then scoring in the 97th minute. Like that was a big win that took them right into the top 10, and they would hope that they stay in the top 10. They are, and the team that they are playing, like they would expect to go to Crystal Palace, and the way their form that they are in, the position that they are in, the Fulham would really fancy themselves to get a result out of there. And I think they are gonna get a result. If I'm being very honest with you, I think it will be another exciting game, another game filled with goals. I'm stuttering too much today because I have some problem in my mouth, sorry about that. But I think it will be quite an interesting game, this one, and I think it will be a goals as well, as I said before. But I think Fulham are gonna nick it. I'm going for a 2-1 win for Fulham. The next game is quite an interesting one. It is Brighton versus Manchester City. It is 8th versus 2nd in the league. Now Brighton, they played a really good game against Liverpool last weekend. They took the lead at Anfield, and it looked like they were gonna be able to hold on to it. But then Liverpool, of course, they showed their class. They were at home. They were at Anfield. They took their the home advantage with them, and they go ahead and they get the job done. Brighton and their players like Huzler and his team would be really disappointed that they would really not able to get anything out of this game. But I think they would be now relishing their chance to play at this game against Manchester City at home. City, they lost their first game of the season in the Premier League last weekend against Bournemouth. It was quite a convincing win by Bournemouth. It was not like a fluke or anything. They are playing again. They got thrashed in the Champions League as well by Sporting 4-1. That was quite a humiliating performance, and the result for Manchester City. And now they are playing against a Brighton side, and I think Guardiola and the City players, they would be really happy about playing against a team like Brighton, because I said in the Champions League prediction as well, and I said I've been saying this for the last 3 or 4 weeks. They are really struggling with the teams that just sit back. They are not really able to break them down. If you look at the games like Southampton, if you look at the games like Wolves, like they really struggled in those games. They struggled against Bournemouth last weekend as well. Sporting was like they played differently. They played like Brighton would play. So like I really don't know whether they are going to suffer again. But I think Guardiola and his team would prefer to play against a team like Brighton, because Brighton are not going to sit back. They are going to play their football, and that is why you love Brighton. They are a team they like to play attack minded football, like the one that you really want to watch. And I think Guardiola and City would be happy that they can play with a team, and that it is going to help them a lot more than to constantly attack and try to break a team down. Because when Brighton are going to come forward, it's going to give chances to their players and try to score the game. But saying all that, I think City are in that sort of mind, and I think they are under a lot of pressure this time. You don't really feel City see a City in this time of circumstances. They have lost 2 games in a row, and both of them in a convincing manner as well. And now they are going away to a tough opponent. I think normally they wouldn't have mattered that much, but now it matters. They are setting us on the 2nd place as well, and I think they are going to draw points in this game as well. I don't see them winning this game, but I don't see them losing as well. I think it will be quite an interesting game. I think it will be an entertaining game as well, and I think we are going to get another a draw and another game full of goals. I'm going for a 2-all draw between Brighton and Manchester City. Next game is another huge one. It is Liverpool versus Aston Villa. It is first versus a sixth. Liverpool, as I already said before, they defeated Brighton last weekend 2-1. Quite a good performance. Mohamed Salah again. You know how you cannot keep that a man out of the conversation. Whenever Liverpool are in trouble, he pops up and he saves the day. They are playing against an Aston Villa side who have been really good this season. I think this is the first time they have dropped out of the top four, and I think they shouldn't have really been out of the top four. They were winning quite convincingly against Tottenham's Hotspur last weekend, and then just in a moment of time, Spurs they came back and they trashed Villa with 4 goals, and it ended up being a 4-1 win for Tottenham Hotspur, and Villa lose that game. They lost in the Champions League as well, so they are coming in this game with not in a good form in a way. Their mentality mentally they are not going to be really up for on that point in a positive way. Liverpool on the other hand, they won in the Champions League as well. They are top of the table in the Champions League. They are top of the table in the Premier League. They are at home as well. I think they are going to be brimming with confidence, and they are going to be really on it for that game. I think it will be quite an interesting game. It will be an entertaining game as well. It could turn out to be the same way like last week Liverpool played against Brighton. I am sort of expecting a game like that, and I think I'm expecting a result like that. I think Aston Villa are going to give Liverpool a lot of tough time, but I just think Liverpool being at home, I think they are going to somehow, some way they are going to edge it. I'm going for another same result like last weekend. I'm going for a 2-1 win for Liverpool. Moving on to the Sunday's games, it is Manchester United versus Leicester City. It is 13th versus 15th. Not a much difference between those two teams in terms of points, in terms of form as well. Like both of them have not really been playing that good. It is going to be Ruud van Nistelrooy's last game. It is going to be at Old Trafford. Amorim is going to be in the stands watching, just like he did in the Europa League fixture against POA. And Manchester United were really good and really impressive in that game. They were really good against Chelsea last weekend as well. They were amazing in the Carabao Cup as well, and it just shows you how changing the manager and whatnot. I really don't want to get into that because I have been very clear. I don't think it was the manager's fault. I think the players acted like pricks. They just didn't really want it, and I think it is. I'm saying it right now. Amorim is going to come in. It's going to be a really good first half of the season. But when he tries to replace these guys, it is going to turn into a shit show again. It has been the same problem at United. But coming back into this game, he's not started. We're going to talk about him in lengthy detail when he's officially announced. But if we are talking about this game, it is going to be Ruud van Nistelrooy's last game. It is going to be at Old Trafford. Players are really going to be up for it. They are, now it is becoming an audition process for everybody, for every player. They want to impress the new guy who's going to be in the stand, who's going to be watching them. And they are playing against a Leicester City side who could turn out to be the party poppers for Manchester United. I really see that. I'm not even joking here. I am not even kidding. I really think that they could turn out to be party poppers, and they could make Manchester United struggle in this game. They are already 13. They cannot really afford to lose any more points. I don't think any Manchester United fan thinks that they are going to be able to get back into those European places because of already how tight it is at the top, and Manchester United are, in a way, for me, I don't think they are going to get in, and it is just matter of pride to somehow finish in that top 10. But I think Leicester are one of those teams that could really hurt Manchester United, and it could spoil the party mode at Old Trafford, and I am gonna go with that. I think it will be a draw. It will be a goal draw, but a low scoring draw. I'm going for a 1-1 draw between Manchester United and Leicester City. The next game is a Nottingham Forest versus a Newcastle United. It is 3rd versus 11th. Now Forest, I mean, they have been amazing. They have exceeded, there is exceeding expectation, and there is exceeding the expectations. They are doing amazing. They're 3rd in the table. They're like playing such a good brand of football. Nobody really thought that they were going to be in this position. Like, no, even the Forest fans in their wildest imagination did not think that they are going to be in the Champions League places after 10 games. So they are huge big props to them, and I think it is gonna continue the way they are playing it. They are winning the games like with a proper a good way of football, playing a football in the right way. They know what they are doing. It's not a fluke wins the games that they are winning. They are playing against a Newcastle United side who won last weekend against Arsenal. I think it was a really good performance from Newcastle. They made sure that Arsenal really did not have the freedom to play the game that they wanted, and they made sure that they got that result. It was a big win for them. They are 11th at the table. They want to get into those European places, and for them, for that to happen, they need to somehow get the wins. This is going to be a very tough game, I think, and I said this last weekend, and I said I thought against West Ham United, Forest might not be able to win it, but they destroyed West Ham. And this weekend again they are playing against Newcastle side, who just like West Ham, they like to play attacking football, and Forest themselves like to play attacking football. The Forest are at home as well. I think we are gonna see another win for Forest. I am just going to back them this time around. I did not back them last weekend, but I'm going to back them around this weekend. I think it will be a very fun game, a very entertaining game, but Forest are going to win it in the end. I'm going for a 2-1 win for Nottingham Forest. The next game is Tottenham versus Ipswich Town. It is a 7th versus 18th. Now Tottenham, they had a massive victory last weekend against Aston Villa. They really needed that. They are slowly climbing the table, trying to get into those European places. And they, as I said, it was a huge win up for them to defeat a club like Aston Villa, who are now they are just a place above them. They are basically one of their rivals to get into those European places, not just the European places, trying to get into the Champions League places. So Villa are their rivals. So it was a huge win up for them. They are playing against an Ipswich Town side, like 10 games in, still not a win. The romance that everybody had with Ipswich Town, it's still there, but it's slowly starting to wear off, because they are not really able to get any result. 5 draws, 5 defeats, 5 points, still no win. It is looking really hard for Chris McKenna and his side to stay in the Premier League. And again, it is going to be a really tough game. I think there are going to be goals in this game, because both teams like to play attacking football, and Spurs with that high line, Ipswich can really take advantage of that. We could sit here at the end of the weekend, and we could be talking about upset win for Ipswich Town. But the way that Spurs are playing, I just don't see any other result apart from Spurs winning. I think it will be a high scoring game. I think both teams are going to score the goals, and that is why I'm going for a 4-2 win for Tottenham Hotspur. And the last game of the weekend is Chelsea versus Arsenal. It is 4th versus 5th, and Arsenal are 5th after 10 games of the season. Like, this season has really not gone to plan according to Arsenal's plan. A lot of stuff has happened, and I will sit here as an Arsenal fan, but I will be very happily say that last weekend was the first game where we did not play good and we deserve to lose. Apart from that, everything that has helped, every single game where Arsenal have lost the points, dropped points, there has been some other things in connection. Otherwise, I think it's still a good season. We are still in the title race. I will still say it. Liverpool are 7 points ahead of us, but still there's a lot of games to go. They are playing against Chelsea side, who have turned around their season. They started really bad, but Maresca has been the guy. I said this at the start of the season, that Maresca is going to be the guy. He is exceeding my expectation as well. I thought this was going to be a transitional season, but he's going to show you glimpses of where we're going to see what he's really capable of doing. And I thought from next season they are going to come into this contention for the Champions League places and try to fight for the title. But they are quite ahead of their time. If I'm being very honest with you, I think it will be a really good game of football. I think I be very honest, I think Chelsea are going in this game as favorites, because Arsenal are not really in that good of a form. Our players are not really there. Chelsea are really enjoying their football, and they are going to be really up for it. I think this is the first time in the last couple of years where Chelsea are starting the game as well, and I think their fans are really know that too. But I just don't know. I'm gonna back my club. I think this is the type of situation where Arsenal in the last 2-3 years, these are the type of games where Arsenal come ahead and they give a performance where nobody really is expecting them to give a performance. I mean, you can look at the Spurs game, you can look at the City game, you can look at the Liverpool game, all the tough games. We lost to Inter Milan in the Champions League as well. That was a bitter pill to swallow as well. After that, a Newcastle defeat. But I think overall we are gonna somehow get the win. It will be a very interesting game, but I think Arsenal win it in the end. I'm going for a 2-1 win for Arsenal. And with that, my predictions for the Premier League Matchday 11 are complete. We're going to see how many of them are correct and how many of them are completely off the rail at the end of the weekend. You guys can go ahead and make your predictions in the comment section below, and we will see who got who gets more predictions right, me or you guys. That is it for me in this video. Like the video, share it as well, click on the notification bell, and of course please subscribe to the channel. We are trying to get to 450 subscribers by the end of November, so please go and help the channel and make the channel grow as quickly as possible. Until next time, bye bye.